ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Game Changer Podcast. Here are your hosts, VicTori Bell and NateFNGreat. You know, now that I've actually heard that, I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should have included animated series in this list that we have coming up here today. But you know what? Maybe that's for another podcast. Welcome to the Game Changer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm indeed NateFNGreat, the guy who is literally excited for the forthcoming week. It's going to be absolutely insane. I'm being joined here by the one, the only, the woman who I believe is going to be on a cover of a magazine for probably one of the hottest bodies in all of the land, that being the one and only fabulous VicTori Bell.
Oh, thanks, Nate. That was a good way to start the morning.
Well, I was thinking to myself, let's see here. She's probably going to be either on the hottest spots or the sexy spot. One of those things from People magazine, you know. It's going to be amazing. You'll be in the same, magazine cover deal as like a Ryan Reynolds or Channing Tatum or stuff like that. But literally, it's just going to be like, hey, this is my co-host. It's awesome. She can be now say that, hey, I've been on the same magazine cover as Ryan Reynolds. It's almost it's almost like meeting Ryan Reynolds in a way. I don't know. This is me getting to a weird kind of deal here. Anyway, so guys, we actually have quite a bit to talk about. So much so that we actually reduced our news deal to just one story each. And honestly, there's still two pretty good stories to kind of cover right now. After that, we'll kind of talk about we'll go through some of the shout-outs of TV series that were brought up during the Facebook comment deal. And then we'll take a quick break. Then after that, we will go into talking about our favorite TV series. Now, some of us, we might get into 10. We might get into a little bit more than that. But either way, you guys, you're definitely going to want to listen into that. So, all right, news stories. I think I'll start off with this one because literally this was one of those situations where I felt like it was a slap in the face to me that this happened a day after I said, well, why has there not been a Star Wars trailer that has been released? And then as soon as I think it was either I woke up or I was still awake during the time, I get this message from you. You said, the new Star Wars trailer dropped. I'm like, what? And literally go on YouTube like 2 minutes after that, watch it, and I'm like, oh, wow. Disney, you definitely listen to me, and you also know how to push my buttons, to say the least. So the new Star Wars trailer has been released. It's Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which will be premiering this Christmas time. Oh, the nostalgic feels. Oh, it's just so beautiful. Literally, you look at this trailer, you guys, you have the return of Rey as well as Kylo Ren. They definitely do hit on a couple of space battles and a couple other scenes that are going to be throughout the deal. They have Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill doing some voiceover deals. You even have an appearance by Lando, which is already one of those things where it's like, oh yes, I get another Star Wars movie with Lando Calrissian. I'm happy. This is awesome. And then, of course, at the end of the trailer is where we get the most shock because we hear a familiar laugh by a certain Sith Lord, and I'm sure a lot of people are already just like, wait, what? They're actually doing this? How? How is this even possible?
Is it Darth?
No, it's actually not Darth Vader. It's Darth Sidious. No, Darth Sidious. The Emperor, yeah.
What the hell?
I know, and I already had coworkers from the theater asking me, "What do you think he's going to come back as like a Force ghost? Do you think he's somehow alive? What's going on?" It's like, I don't know. This is going to be really crazy. And I made probably the mistake of going through some of the comment sections as to how people are feeling about this trailer. I'm going to say this, that very seldom did I see the positive response that I was hoping for. More people were basically just saying like, well, thank God the saga is over. Oh, thank God this is going to be over. Oh, this looks so stupid. Oh, they're going to find a way to really mess up this movie too. After the last one, I've frankly not given a crap. And then I got to thinking, well, I never really dove into why did people hate The Last Jedi. And I think I made the right choice of actually going into an article on Reddit, and I actually looked at some of the reasons why people were just fully not into it. There were some that I was kind of expecting. A lot of people didn't like, Rey's character during the deal. They didn't like how Luke Skywalker died in the movie. They didn't like how they incorporated a romance deal between Finn and Rose. And I think the main common thing that I kept finding in each of the list was the comedy. It was the one thing that they absolutely hated about The Last Jedi. So I kind of, said that.
It was corny. It wasn't funny. It wasn't natural flow like Avengers or something like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. And I kind of got to actually thinking, because I was doing this on my break, and I kind of think to myself, to be honest, I think I could make the fair statement that Last Jedi was probably the most entertaining movie. Was it the best? Definitely not. But I think it was one of those movies that they definitely went for the entertainment value. It did have a lot of comedic moments. It definitely had a lot more humorous scenes here and there. Compared to The Force Awakens, it's definitely a different approach than what we were expecting. So I guess I can also understand the skepticism that people have going into this final movie going into December. For me, I'm nostalgic about it. I'm happy about it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm almost at the point where I might treat this as an Avengers Endgame deal, where it's just like, I just needed this trailer. I'm good. I'm just going to wait all the way until December, which seems like a tall task for me, considering that that's about 8 months away compared to Avengers Endgame, which they premiered their trailer maybe 2 months before the premiere, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it wasn't too long ago that they released that, because it was happening around the same time as Captain Marvel got released.
Yeah, I remember that. But I know we had a bunch of... we've had, I think, 3 trailers, but maybe 2 of those were teasers. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it were the teasers, and then we got to the official one, and it was just kind of like, okay, I think we're good. I think we're good on this. So, I will say this, for a lot of people that are curious, we will be actually doing a review of the Endgame movie, but I've already made it publicly known that we're not going to be doing it until 2 weeks after it premieres. So it is going to be a bit of a wait. It's going to suck, but I think we can do it. It's kind of one of those things where I've seen a lot of petitions. I've seen a lot of a lot of notes that are written out. Hey, be respectful for a lot of people. I think even the directors were kind of asking that. They were saying like, hey, don't spoil anything. Let everybody get a chance to see it.
That was my news story.
Oh, that was your news story?
Yes.
Okay, well, okay. It kind of ties right in.
We're a week away from the premiere, so I was thinking of telling everyone just about, the letter that the Russo brothers wrote.
Do you happen to have that?
Anyone to post anything about Endgame?
Yeah.
What did you ask?
No. I didn't have really much after that. Basically, for me, excited for Star Wars. I know a lot of people are not. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think once we get to... I don't know, was this an official trailer or was this a teaser?
I don't even know. Whenever I see a trailer, I feel like it's an official trailer. But yeah. I guess some people call them teasers and then official.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 teasers and then they get the official one, which kind of replays most of the teaser stuff, but then adds like a new element to it. So,
Gotcha.
So we'll see what happens. But, anyway, you can go on with your news story since I've kind of spoiled it. My apologies.
No, you're totally fine. Hey, don't spoil it. Though.
Well,
it's all about not spoiling. Basically, we've all seen the Russo brothers post about don't spoil Endgame for everyone, just because it's already been really hard to get tickets. They don't want anyone to have this experience ruined for them. And, I could read a little bit about the letter. They put it to the greatest fans in the world. This is it. This is the end of the unprecedented narrative. Spanning 11 years, 11 franchises. And they basically end with, when you see Endgame in the coming weeks, please don't spoil it for others the same way you wouldn't spoil it for you. Remember, Thanos still demands your silence. As always, good luck and happy viewing. The Russo brothers. # don't spoil the Endgame.
Honestly, that's really cool that they would do that. I actually had a bit of a debate with one of my friends and one of our co-hosts on the channel, Chad Knight. He went on the deal basically saying, why shouldn't I do it? It's just another movie. He kind of goes for like this kind of old-fashioned kind of deal where it's like, it's just another movie. It's nothing really too special. And I kind of got a little set off by this where I didn't really like tear into him, but I basically said you have to understand, the magnitude of this, of this movie. It's one of those things where it's almost like, it's a huge deal. It's almost like Christmas for Marvel fans that we get this huge movie. We get this huge crossover of all these people. It's a huge deal for a lot of people. And, eventually, he basically said, okay, I see where you're coming from. I'm kind of old-fashioned, so it's not one of those things where we're starting a rivalry or something like that. It's not a work. It's one of those things where, he has a viewpoint, I have a viewpoint, different mindsets, but, we reach common ground. So, yeah, we'll be doing a review of it, like I said. There will be spoilers with it, but we're going to wait 2 weeks out, so that way people have gotten the chance to see it. I've been fortunate enough to be offered the opportunity to see it 3 times in the forthcoming week. Once on opening night, the night after, on Friday, and then again on that Tuesday night, which, geez Louise, I am literally going to be having, plans in my head like, okay, this is what I did for the first movie, just avoid this, so that way you don't have to use the restroom or go, do this and blah, blah, blah. I'm very curious to see, like, for a lot of people that have, like, the bigger theaters, like New York City or California or something like that, like, the reaction, I want to know what the reaction is going to be for that one person that just decides to go to the bathroom in the middle of the movie. Are they going to get, like, booed? Are they going to get heckled? What is going to happen? I feel like it's one of those things where it's, like, mandatory for fans to just sit in their seats, don't move, and do not make a sound during the entire deal. Even, like, a sneeze is going to get shushed.
Did you see there was, like, rules set up already for the movie? Like, rules?
Really? No, I did not see that.
Yeah, I have them. I shared them because I am going to go see this movie with my brother. And so my little brother, so I'm like, all right. I think most of these are true for us, so let's make sure this is what we do. So I'll read the list of rules that was sent out and been going around from Comic-Con was sending this out.
How many rules are there in total?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8 rules? Oh boy.
Yes.
That's one more than 7.
Okay, so they say we will be seated at least 15 minutes before the movie starts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me anything, because you should have watched recaps like a smart person. There will be no unnecessary talking or chewing during the movie. If you talk and I miss something important, I will hit you with my shoe. You will cry, laugh, and gasp at appropriate times only. Take it easy with your drink because there will be no bathroom breaks. At the end of the movie, we will sit and wait until the credits have finished. After we leave the theater, we will walk to our cars and ponder the events that unfolded in silence. We will discuss our thoughts and feelings about this movie on the following day when I'm no longer an emotional wreck.
That last one gets me. I actually do remember those rules now.
Yeah, you probably saw them because I was sharing them around, but it was a while ago, so now it's a little more prevalent. But yeah, so I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm super stoked.
Oh, man. I just want to know how many people are going to end up getting hit with shoes during that entire movie.
I mean, if you're taking your shoes off, you're getting too comfortable in the theater. Let's not take our shoes off.
Well, that is a fair point. Honestly, I'm just waiting for somebody to not really spoil it, but literally I would literally just go on Twitter as soon as the movie's over and just put down, like, hashtag no endgame spoilers or whatever it is, and just have, like, a gift of the Austin Powers deal where he's like, who throws his shoe? Honestly. Just so that people could get along with the joke.
It was funny. My brother did a joke about, he's like, who am I, George Bush? And I was like, what? And he's like, remember when the people were throwing shoes at
Oh
us?
my god, I remember that.
I was like, I forgot about that. Like, you're so topical.
Oh my god, man. Shout out to Tori's brother. You're absolutely amazing, dude. That was good topical and political humor. That's the only time I hear a political...
I'm like, how old are you when that was happening?
Old enough to remember it.
I know, but he's 60 here's my younger.
Well,
I didn't remember it, but then again, are we really trying to remember all that?
All we remember is that he stuttered a lot. He was kind of goofy, and apparently he also had shoes thrown at him. I think that kind of.
I remember George Bush hates black people,
Oh,
and Mike Myers is like, oh my god, did Kanye just say that with me on the show?
Jeez Louise.
Oh, there's so much great comedy that came out of that president.
It gave us the one and only Frank Caliendo. Shout out to Frank, absolutely amazing impressionist, and when he does George Bush, absolutely great. Before we get too off topic here, guys. So obviously we're going to talk about the TV series list in just a bit, but first of all, we do have to go into some shout-outs that a lot of people have posted on the Facebook page, where basically I said, hey, list down like your favorite TV series of all time, whether it was Hulu or Netflix or just in TV in general. First one actually came from Moose, who actually asked the question, was it of all time or in general? He mentions The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Once Upon a Time was apparently good. Apparently he likes the series up until the last season. He actually prefaces that. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh boy, do I even want to watch the last season of Once Upon a Time just to see how bad it is?
Right.
And also his favorite show of all time is Cheers. Gosh, Cheers was good. Chad, who talks about the Sabrina Netflix series, he says that it's amazing and should be talked about. That might have to be a subject on a future podcast. We might just have to watch that series and talk about it fully and in review.
Hey, I'm down.
All right. So we'll have a future podcast on that then. Debbie talks of the Tin Man, loves Zoe, and all the Wizard of Oz references. That I was a little bit like, what is that? Is that like all Wizard of Oz references in TV shows or something like that? Little kind of confused by that. Once Upon a Time makes a return on the list, and she also brings up The Ranch, which is that I think it was like a 2-part Netflix series with Danny Masterson and Ashton Kutcher.
Yep. I watched that a little bit. That was decent.
Cindy mentions Leverage, White Collar, Merlin, Psych, Monk, Castle, Eureka, and she's currently binging on Lucifer, which is pretty fun. The only Lucifer I know is the cat from Cinderella, but that's a different subject matter all to begin with. And also good old Mr. Fretz. Shout out to you, Mr. Fretz. He has F is for Family. Never really heard of that one. Trailer Park Boys, The Ranch, ones with Dame Ashton. Well, of course. I mean, is there another TV series called The Ranch other than the one on Netflix?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I think The Ranch would be the same one.
And he also mentions Letter Kenny, I believe it is. I have no idea what that is, actually. Never even heard of it. And he has his all-time shows on here. Simpsons, Family Guy, Titus, American Dad, Letter Kenny, brought back again, and he puts down maybe South Park. I think South Park just has its moments. It has some episodes that are decent, and then there's some that are just like, okay, this is good. Then there's others where it's like, okay, maybe it's a little too far. But I guess that goes with like any animated TV series that think they can get away with anything.
That's true. I love South Park, but I think the highlights were from season 6 up to season 15, and now I don't watch it as much because it just got really invested. And I'm like, I can't watch it that much.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like me with Family Guy. Either that or they kind of did a lot of repeat episodes. You kind of notice it's like, they did this episode already. They kind of went with this.
Right, or they have a certain theme they carry away, like the Brian and Stewie episodes that are like their trail to Rhode Island, trail to Vegas, trail to this, and you're like, oh, yeah. Like, let's just skip this one. I hate it already.
Yeah, I think they lost a lot of fans with the what was it? When they had Brian die in one episode. That was one that was a real tearjerker for me. That it was literally one of those times where it's like, oh my god, I'm crying during an animated deal. Why is this?
Yeah.
Because Brian's awesome, damn it. A lot of people give him a hard time, but he's awesome.
He definitely made an impact. So yeah, I enjoyed that episode too. I thought it was good, but then they brought him back. So
yeah, that was where people were just like, well, why'd you kill him off in the first place?
Right, you're just gonna bring him back.
Exactly. All right, so I will say this, you guys. There were a couple of TV series on here that are part of my list, so you'll definitely be hearing them be brought up a bit during the list deal coming up. But honestly, yeah, it's a really good list of TV series, guys. So shout out to all you guys that have definitely done that. And hey, I'll be sure to do this a lot more often because, love to hear your guys' feedback, love to hear your guys' opinion. And like I said, we got another podcast in the future coming up, so it's going to be awesome. So stick around, guys. We're going to take a little quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll be giving our list on what is our favorite TV series, possibly of all time or just in general. We'll get back to you guys with that in just a bit. Hey guys, this is NateFNGreat. Hey, have you ever wanted to be a champion but can't seem to really find the money and the time to get a championship belt? Well, you know who's a really good friend of mine? AJ from AJsBelts.com. These guys have a large assortment of championship belts, from classic belts to the modern day belts to championship belts you would not even believe. And guys, like I said, they work with you very well. With an awesome layaway program, there is no way that you can beat these guys' prices as well as these guys' deals, especially when you can give them a little bit of money every now and then until you can get that championship gold. Coming from a guy who's a champion and a game changer, I'm indeed NateFNGreat. I'm representing AJsBelts.com, proud friends of the Game Changer podcast.
Check out the guys over at Eclectic Media Project. They bring you podcasts such as Musically Challenged. Whose podcast is it anyway? Want to hear something interesting? And their newest podcast, Page 3.14 News. Check them out on Podbean and iTunes at Eclectic Media Project, on their website at www.eclecticmediaproject.com. Check them out as they are the home with a little something for almost everyone.
You're listening to the Game Changer podcast here on Spreaker.com. That's right, you guys. Of course, it's on Spreaker.com. It's also on the one and only Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. You guys, I'm NateFNGreat, joined here by VictoriBelle. All right, let's get into talking about some of our favorite TV series. Since I started off with this news story at the beginning of the show, I think it's only fair that you, VictoriBelle, kick off this list. What is one of your favorite TV series, or I guess live streaming series, whatever we kind of called it? I mean, we'll just call it like, what's one of your favorite series? We'll just put it like that.
Yeah, I just want to note from what I looked for me personally, I would have to say, besides just all around TV throughout the years, I do think Netflix, for me, wins a little higher than all the other original series. Hulu really didn't have much that I've been watching, and Prime had a few, but Netflix just destroyed the list for me of, like, original series that they have. I don't know, does that reflect you, or what is your highest bidder on the streaming platforms?
You know, I think that Netflix is still the dominant streaming brand. I definitely do agree with that. But I will say this, that I think one of the things that's a blessing for Netflix is that they had so many of these TV series that I remember watching even before Netflix was even a thing. So it's really cool to kind of go back and just watch these deals, be like, oh man, I remember watching this for the TV, and even having it like with DVR, everything like that. It was just so much cool to do that. And I think that despite the fact that Disney is going to try to pluck their brand out of Netflix, I think that Netflix is going to survive just longer, if not. I think it's still going to be probably the more dominant live stream, even when Disney gets their own live stream network going.
Well, yeah, because Disney will be exclusively their brand, the ABC Disney brand. So I definitely see people still staying on all three of these main ones. I'm literally only going to be talking about Netflix, Hulu, and Prime.
Okay. Besides
just normal TV series in general, since we opened it up to that, I'm like, oh well, of course, got to write some of the big guys down. But yeah, just in general, I was just like, when I was going over everything and making a list, it was way easier to make a Netflix list than any other list because I just knew the shows I wanted to put on there. I'm like, oh, Netflix has been just killing it with original series. And I know Hulu has been trying to pick up a lot more, and they have a little more obscure ones that I just haven't wanted to watch yet. So I know Future Man's on there that everyone tells me is amazing. But yeah, I just haven't. I'm just like a Netflix girl right now. So we'll see. We'll see what goes from there. But I'll start the list. I'll just start with Hulu since. No. I'm going to start with Prime. I'll start with Amazon Prime because this is a pretty short one. I'm just going to give all the three that I enjoy from Prime. The three main series that I've really enjoyed from Prime is Jack Ryan with John Krasinski. We know him from Jim from The Office. Marvelous Miss Maisel and The Tick are the three series, the top series I've watched from Prime that were just dominant, amazing series. Definitely worth watching. Jack Ryan, I think, is only 12 episodes strong. You literally can finish that in a weekend, and that's kind of what we did. Spies, like going in the desert, really a good action movie, not movie, but action series. Marvelous Miss Maisel is set in the 50s and 60s about a woman comedian trying to make it. Pretty hilarious. Has the voice of Lois Griffin in it. She's always a hoot. Yeah, she's hilarious. It's a very funny, very different type of scenario because it's set in a time, where a stand-up comedian, you wouldn't even think of it. And then of course I had to add The Tick because I think if people remember the animated series The Tick, that blue, really strong, I'm the Tick, a superhero. It is just like that, and I forget the actor who plays the Tick, but he was highlighted in not Game of Thrones, who am I talking about? Parks and Rec, as the British guy who tries to donate to Andy's organization. He's also in Guardians of the Galaxy as one of Chris Pratt's, he's captured Chris Pratt, what is it? The people who do the golden ships, not the second one, but the first one where they all band together to try to hold the ship from going. Mm-hmm. That's when he dies. I forget his name though, but he does an amazing job. If you enjoyed the Tick animated series at all, you will love this live action version. They do a great job. His voice is just matches the animated series. It's too good to be true. So yeah, I would definitely say check those three out.
Nice, very nice. So for my list, I think I liked what you were doing there, where you picked three of there because I think it's going to save a little bit of time there. Unfortunately, I only had it down to basically two different forms of media for me. It was either on the television or on Netflix. And I actually just went through the list, and I'm just noticing right now that a lot of my list is actually more television-based than it is more Netflix-based. So this is actually going to be really interesting. So first three that I'll have up on here is going to be The Walking Dead, Tyler Perry's House of Pain, and That 70s Show. So obviously for me, Walking Dead was kind of an easy one for me to pick. I remember watching a little bit of it on AMC, but at the same time, it was one of those things where it's well, I'm already halfway through. I'm at the midpoint, I kind of want to see where all these characters came from, stuff like that. Netflix kind of was nice enough to basically give me that opportunity to relive all of that. And it's a really good series. It's post-apocalyptic. You have all these deals where you have a group of people that are totally different personalities. They meet up. They're basically trying to survive this. It's just so much fun. And honestly, it is still one of those series that gets a lot of popularity, even though I think it's overstayed its welcome just a little bit. I think there's some people that probably started losing faith in it around the season 7 marker where they brought in Negan, although there's some probably people that would say, no, it was not worth it to me like about 2 or 3 seasons earlier. For me, I was still interested in it, but then when Negan came along, that was where the game changed, pun intended. And one of my favorite characters, Glenn, was killed off. For me, that was kind of the final nail in the coffin where it's like, yeah, I'm kind of done now, because Glenn was my boy. I loved watching him. I loved kind of seeing him grow as a character, and it was just one of those things where literally I was like, man, it's not going to be the same thing without him. Even though I like the guy who plays Negan, I saw him in Rampage, and he was kind of the same persona. It was awesome. But it's just one of those things where it's again like, man, it's just not the same without Glenn. Tyler Perry's House of Pain, everybody of course knows Tyler Perry. Very well-rounded comedical genius. House of Pain is definitely one of the best series on there that can be very comedic, but can also bring in a lot of serious deals, and it really just hits home on so many different levels. And really, it's one of those things that has probably one of the more shocking series finales in a lot of TV history, that it's still one of those things that I watch and I think to myself, man, how did it reach this point where, you know, it's kind of a happily ever after for some people, but it's a miserable time for others. It's just absolutely crazy. It's absolutely wonderful. And of course, the other one, that being That 70s Show. Love this, and of course, it gave us so many great actors out of this. Of course, you know, Topher Grace, Ashton Kutcher, Danny Masterson, Mila Kunis, and it also gave a couple other people their starts. Seth Green being one of the ones I could think of right off the top of my head. Just basically a bunch of kids are going through the 70s, and there's another thing on here that's going to be kind of relatable to this. It reflects the 70s so well. They, of course, involve a lot of different real-life scenarios, but also they incorporate a lot of different pop culture deals. I remember they do a lot of like Halloween or Christmas episodes. One of the Halloween's ones was so good because they incorporated so many horror movie deals. They brought in kind of Alfred Hitchcock's, you know, The Birds. They incorporated Vertigo. Fez was dressed up as one of the characters from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They created this one episode, and it's just absolutely fun. It's just one of those things where you look at it and you think to yourself, how do they keep it fresh? Well, they keep up with a lot of the pop culture deals that were going on during that time. And even just when you look at some of like the special effects, you can definitely tell some are cheesy, but you still are just in the moment of enjoying it. It's just so much fun, and they still do a really damn good job, even with the low budget that they probably had. So, yeah, honestly, 3 really great ones to really start with. Victory Bell, you're up next. What do you got next for us to talk about?
Yeah, no, those are all great. I think I haven't actually ever partook in The Walking Dead. I know that will make people a little upset, but you know me, I'm not a huge zombie person, so I'm like, I don't know if this would really be for me if I don't really care for zombies.
Wait. Let's pause on the list for a minute, because I actually am kind of curious right now. With you going to a lot of conventions, you have to at least have seen people dressed up, you know, in makeup and in wardrobe as zombies, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had any
from The Walking Dead? You mean people from The Walking Dead?
Well, either from The Walking Dead or just like zombies in general.
Yeah, no, I definitely have actually met actors from The Walking Dead too and hung out with them. Like some of the zombie actors, a few were like, I forget what the black girl's name was, but she had like chained zombies.
Oh,
like I've met those guys. They were really cool. But yeah, I don't know. Walking Dead wasn't something that I was like, ooh, that looks like I want to watch it. No, I just never. You know, it's everybody has their cup of tea. I bet if I watched it, I hear it's great. I probably would enjoy it.
Probably. But it's just one of those things where I can only imagine like some of these zombies just kind of walking past, and I don't know how you would react to them. Or either you'd be like, "Oh, these are cool," or you'd be like, "Okay, I'm a little nervous because is this real or is this just?"
Oh no, I'm not afraid of stuff.
Okay,
I'm not afraid of horror movies. That I think is part of the issue. Like, I used to be afraid of stuff, so I would go, like, The Ring scared the crap out of me, The Grudge scared the crap out of me, and now I'm just this logical anti-horror person who's like, I go to horror films to figure them out and ruin them. So it's like, oh, okay, I shouldn't go to these anymore. Like, this is not why people go to this. Like, I have one friend who literally in college, that was her thing, was horror movies, and I think we saw... I don't even remember what it was called, but it was the one where, like, they're in a house, like, for a wedding or something, and a bunch of masked people, like, come to attack the house. Not the Strangers. I don't know.
The Purge?
No.
Oh.
Definitely wasn't the Purge. It was one where, like, they try to, like, kill everybody in the house, and they all have, like, animal masks on, and they're, like, trying to fit, like, they're trying to kill all the people, and there's this one scene where, like, they're gonna have this woman in heels, like, sprint out of the house. We're opening the door, and then you're gonna sprint, because you're the fastest runner. I'm like, oh, really? The girl in heels is the fastest runner out of everyone, out of all the guys. Really? Okay, cool. And then they open the door really quick, and you just see slow motion. She's sprinting. I'm like, there's probably a wire on the door. Her head's going to fall off. And my friend was like, what? And all of a sudden, like, her throat slits. And yeah, there's a wire. I'm like, they're not going to make this big, huge deal about opening the door without some stupid thing coming in. Like, I ruin horror movies. I, like, predict them, and that's why I don't enjoy them. And I predicted the whole movie, and she was like, that was not fun. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I shouldn't do horror movies anymore. She's like, I enjoyed going with you, but just don't share with me what you think. I'm like, that's the only reason why I would go, is if I could be like, all right, so that guy's actually in on it. He's her fiance, and he wants the money of the family. And she's like, and sure enough, he takes off his mask. We're like, oh no, it was him the whole time.
I really want now for you to be in a horror movie, just so that, like, you're that one character that literally just says that is like the smartest one in the entire deal. Like, all the other people are, usually dying off one by one, but you're the one that's like outsmarting people. And the killers are just like, what the frick? Why is this woman not falling for our traps? And it's just one of those things like, I've seen enough horror to know. Duh.
It's almost like those they're like the scary movies, like when they're like, oh really? Is this real?
Oh my gosh, yes. I was gonna say, you kind of do remind me of Shannon Elizabeth during like the first movie where she's just doing this deal where she's like running and fake screaming.
Yeah, he's like, I'm really gonna kill you.
So it's like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to scream? Well, okay. And then,
you're stabbing me now? Oh, this is the part where you're stabbing me? Yeah,
no, I just want...
Sorry to get off on a horror tangent, but yes, that is... I'm not afraid of people dressed in zombie attire.
Somebody who listens to this, please remake Scary Movie 1 and just have her play the Shannon Elizabeth character. I want to see that so badly.
I mean, if you're going to be cast in a film anywhere, I'm going to tell you this. The odds of it being a horror or scary movie is almost 80%. Everybody everywhere wants to make horror, and everybody everywhere tries to make horror. But that just shows how, when the horror movies get on the big screen, you're like, oh wow, there was a lot to choose from.
This is true. Oh my gosh. This is already going off the rails, but I'm enjoying this episode so much right now.
But okay, I'll go. Okay, the next platform I decided. So I'm already done with Prime.
Right, yeah.
Those were the 3 from Prime. If you are a Prime member, I definitely would go and see those. I also heard Handmaiden's Tale is amazing. but I have not gotten around to see it. It's a little serious, so I'm like, oh, I gotta be ready for this. So, Hulu, back to Hulu.
Hulu.
I will give a shout out to the Mindy Project, because Hulu picked it up and kept it going, and people loved it, and was like, woo, Hulu's awesome for saving the Mindy Project. And Mindy Kaling, I enjoy her. She's obviously one of the geniuses behind the American version of The Office. I didn't necessarily continue to watch it when it got on Hulu. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's kind of like a New Girl, one of those like quirky comedies that go a little too far for me at points. You're like, okay, really you're gonna jump off the building now? What? You know, one of those like, okay, the characters are a little too amped up. But if you like the Mindy Project, you should praise Hulu. I think what I do most on Hulu is watch TV, like the TV shows that are going on now, and I think that's what separates Hulu from Netflix, is that Hulu is connected to what's streaming, what's going on live now. You have to wait, a good 24 hours or 12 hours, depending on how late your show comes on. But I watch American Idol on it right now. It's a great season of American Idol. Katy Perry has been very enjoyable. But I guess the one series that I have actually sat down and binged is The Runaways, which is a Marvel series. It's very odd. You're like, oh, there's a Marvel series on Hulu? What? And the answer is yes. Yes, there's always The Runaways, which is about a group of teenagers who all kind of know about powers and about things, but like don't really have their identities yet. And all of a sudden, they catch their parents, and they're all friends because their parents are friends. So that situation, they don't have great connections with one another to begin with. They catch their parents having an evil villain, ceremony in one of their houses, and they all realize that the powers that they possess and the parents that they've trusted their whole lives aren't actually superheroes, they're villains of superheroes. So that's a big conundrum that they all feel like they've been lied to their whole lives, and they decide that since their parents are evil, they're going to run away. And so they're the Runaways, and they form a group of, high schoolers, form a really cool group of interesting different powers and stuff like that. And one's like an alien. One has like a pet raptor. One can is a magician or a magical wizard, sorcerer. They all have really cool things. And what I liked the best is this is one of the only graphic novels I own all of.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me! The Runaways is gonna be a series. So yeah, I got pretty stoked about that, and it's coming off to be really good. I know season 2 I think is already out. I have not watched season 2, but season 1 was very enjoyable. It's obviously a pilot season where you gotta get to know, and people don't all have their powers yet, so that's kind of annoying. But once you get into it, it's just a really different take on a superhero team because of the twist that they're kids, and they're kids that didn't know their parents aren't really who they thought they were, which is something that I think a lot of people end up feeling in their lives. They're like, oh wow, you were my hero growing up, and then real life happened, and I'm like, oh, what? You did this to me, or you did this? Parents are just people too, so you never know.
Man, honestly, another great 3 shows. I will say this as kind of like a side story. I did actually audition for a subsidiary American Idol deal when they had it in Wausau. It was supposed to be like Central Wisconsin Idol, stuff like that. And Yeah, surprisingly enough, I didn't make it to like the next round, but it was one of those things where it's like, I did it. People enjoyed it. That's all that mattered. And I think there were more people that were saying to me, you should be on America's Got Talent. I think that works out more in your favor. And the more I see that show, I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is more my deal. American Idol is just kind of more serious, more focused on the actual singing part of it. So, but it is.
Yeah, I didn't really watch it that much last year. I mean, there's a lot of competition shows going on, and I really enjoy competition shows that also give you a reason to like the competitors.
Right.
And I didn't think, one show in particular that I think is kind of just stupid, and I know this sounds rude, but I think The Voice is the dumbest thing ever. Because it's not really about the competitors; it's about the coaches, and it's about the stars of the and the whole point is trying to I thought we're trying to discover the next big voice, but we don't really get that much stuff from them, and you don't remember people from The Voice. You're like, I don't remember. Oh, Team Blake. That's what I should have remembered. Team Blake. It's all about the four coaches. And that's not how any competition show should be about. It should be about who's competing. And so, The Voice is just, I'm so over it. It's just dumb to me. Yeah. But American Idol this year, in particular, went to crazy lengths to, get the best talent ever. It's amazing. If you guys have Hulu, and you're like, American Idol, that's so 12 years ago, I would say check it out, because these stories on here are amazing. They'll make you cry. They'll make you cry, feel, laugh, want to hug your family. It's just really good. It gives you all the emotions that you want out of a live TV competition. You want to see people who are real, who are struggling and trying to get through it. And these, oh my God, it's so cool. They're really good, especially if you like singing and music. These people are amazing, and I follow them all on Instagram now, which I've never done. So I'm this is how committed I am to American Idol. I'm follow. And the coaches, it's Luke Bryan, Lionel Richie, and Katy Perry, which I think is the most random, weird, judge. They're judges, not coaches. Sorry, judge combo that turned out to be amazing. They actually like each other. They're hilarious. They'll make you laugh. They'll make you be like, oh my God, I can't believe she just did that, Katy Perry. But no, it's great, and I would definitely recommend watching it.
Well, I think that when people say the phrase, I can't believe you did that, Katy Perry, only one time that comes to mind, and that was, wow, can't believe you married Russell Brand. That's just me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, she's with Orlando Bloom now. So
hey, there we go.
She's taking a step up.
There we go. Well, not just a step up. She took a mile up, in my opinion.
Yes. I feel that sucks. But no, go ahead. Sorry, I went on a little American Idol rant, just because it's definitely different than some of the other competition shows out there right now. And worth watching.
And this is the episode where people discovered that there's another person we probably do not like, and probably loathe as much as Matthew Broderick. Well, that's probably just me, with Matthew Broderick. But that being said,
I don't really have an opinion on Matthew Broderick. I enjoyed him in Inspector Gadget. I love that.
I forgot that was a thing. Damn it. All right, so I got 3 more here, and I watched that TV series as a kid. Please don't ruin it for me. Bringing that up. So, first one I got up here with my trio is one that I got the chance to watch from the first episode all the way to the end, and that was 2.5 Men. I know, people are already going to be talking, there's so much controversy, Charlie Sheen's a douche, and blah, blah, blah. To be fair, yes, I understand the whole deal with Charlie Sheen definitely did affect the seasons. I mean, we got Charlie Sheen replaced by Ashton Kutcher, which was okay. It wasn't one of those things where it was as funny, but it did have some of its moments where it could be hilarious, some of the stuff that he did. But 2.5 Men was just one of those series that was just a lot of fun to watch, because you had 2 brothers basically living their lives, but also having to deal with a young child, and basically going through their lives like that. And then, of course, when they killed off Charlie Sheen, which was a very interesting way of doing it, they basically said, okay, we need somebody to kind of take the reins. Well, we got Ashton Kutcher. Okay, let's give him a shot. He took the ball. He didn't necessarily go with it, but it was just kind of one of those things where he kind of tried to make it his own, and I at least respect him for that. 2.5 Men was still one of my favorite series, and is still one of my favorite series to this day. Just wish that the whole Charlie Sheen thing could have been resolved to the point when we had the series finale, because that was, for me, the part where it just fell into a dumpster fire. It was like everything else was great. Series finale, it literally was just like they're up to a point, and they just skyrocketed down all the way down. And some people might say, like, no, it was good, it was good. No, it wasn't. I've already did a rebooking of how I would do the series finale, and it was a lot better than that. The other one that I have on here, kind of an interesting choice, very melodramatic, but it's Secret Life of the American Teenager. Basically, we got introduced to Shailene Woodley, and it told the story about a girl who basically got impregnated as a teen, and she has to basically go through the life of taking care of this kid while she's in high school, and then we go into other different stories. I will say this is one of the few series that literally got me choked up, and there was one episode that definitely actually got me bawling like crazy. It is that much of a powerful deal. It feels so real because you do feel the struggles of these teenagers. You feel the struggles of these people trying to have a relationship, try to have a life. It's just so relatable to so many people, and it's just one of those things where you kind of feel for the characters. When you can get that kind of emotional connection with people, you got them. You got them hooked on for the season, and for the long run, it definitely was very good. And the final one that I have on here for my trio is one that should probably not come to that many people's surprise, but it's a very famous series, the series known as Friends. You look at all the people that were involved in this. I mean, Courtney Cox, you had David Schwimmer, Jennifer Aniston, so many people, including some guest stars on this deal. It's just an absolutely creatively embracive series that does such a fantastic job of just building it up. They go from this deal to where these are just 6 people that barely even know each other, barely even like each other, to then the final series finale, where it's one of the most emotional scenes where they're basically leaving their apartment complex. They've got their lives straightened out. They've got who they're being with. It's just so amazing seeing that kind of evolve. And I will say, though, if I had to pick like one series moment in that series that was absolutely awesome, it's the series, the series of unfortunate events, I'll call it, where basically the entire group finds out that Monica and Chandler were actually an item. First, it starts off with Joey, who's not exactly the brightest tool in the shed. He basically figures out first, and then it goes into Rachel, then it goes to Phoebe, then it goes into Ross, who is Courtney Cox's, Monica's brother, which was one of those things where it just kept building up and building up and building up, but it built up so well. It just was absolutely crazy seeing how, Joey, he's the dumb one, but he figures it out first. Rachel finds out via a phone call where literally she screams and hangs up. Phoebe just has that classic moment of, oh no, oh my eyes. And then Ross just has a moment where he just sees Chandler and Monica kind of hooking up, and he's just screaming in another building saying, "Get off my sister!" Just so funny. It's just one of those series, again, it brings up some real life deals, but also just knows how to have fun with it. It's just one of those things where I think a lot of people loved it because it, again, was relatable and made you kind of have fun. Like, oh yeah, I have a friend that's like that. Or, oh, I've been in this kind of situation. It's just so very well done. A very great trio that I could not honestly think of leaving off of this list. So, with that being said, Victory Bell, I believe you're back up next. Are we still on Hulu, or are you moving on Netflix?
Hulu and Prime were very easy to go through for me. Like I said, I'm more of a Netflix girl. I don't know if I should do Netflix before TV, but maybe I'll just do TV series real quick.
All right.
Just in general, that most of these I do watch on the Netflix and the Hulu. But yeah, so my favorite TV series, I really, I love Game of Thrones. Let's all be real. It's just, the final season, I think it's season 8, right? Or something like that, is on now. It just released this past Sunday. We all had a winter storm here in Chicago, a blizzard, and people were saying, yes, Game of Thrones is on tonight. Winter has come. And it was just hilarious. What great timing for snow in April. But yeah, Game of Thrones is just one of those series. It's kind of like reflective to me of Walking Dead, with all the, they came out around the same time, and I think that this was when people are like, hey, these aren't going to be those fluffy, happy series like Once Upon a Time. It's not going to be something that gives you this happy, good feeling all the time. It's going to be real. Like, this is going to be real. Your favorite characters are going to die. And that's kind of what Game of Thrones does. I mean, the Red Wedding was one of the most bloody and horrific scenes in all television. And, of course, being an HBO show, it's allowed to do a lot more than other things.
This is true.
You get to see a lot of craziness, a lot of sex, a lot of blood, gore, and we, of course, have what?
I was gonna say before you get too far into it that you do mention all that. There was actually one episode that my dad was watching and I walked into, and literally within 30 seconds, I was literally jaw dropped on the ground, and I said, and I had stopped my train of thought. I turned to my dad and I said, I kind of lost what I was thinking about because I was stunned by all three things at once. And he just says, what three things were there? It's like, well, woman showing off the boobies. She's naked, but she's covered in blood. And this guy literally just got his neck basically just completely cut off.
I think I have a woodpecker right outside my window. Yep.
you got.
I have people going outside to try to scare a woodpecker. Oh.
You got trains going off. You got a woodpecker that just wants to be a part of the show. Shout out to Woody Woodpecker.
That was so funny. Did you hear that?
I did hear
that.
How
loud that was?
Yeah, I did.
Wow, that was hilarious.
Now he's just probably going to find a way into the house, and then he's just going to fly into the lamp that's right behind you and just be like, hey, what's up? He's just going to drill into the hole. It's like, dude, we get it. We're making a show here. Stop it.
Right. We need some time. But yes, so Game of Thrones is definitely one of those series that is iconic. It has such a great following, and this is the final season. It's going to be sad for a lot of people, but I think that's one good thing about Game of Thrones is that they know when it's time to end. And,
thank the Lord for that.
What?
Thank the Lord for that. There's some TV series that just milk that cow way too dry.
Right. Like you said, as you're okay, Walking Dead, come on, guys. You were great, and you're making me not like you because you're just pushing it. And I think, Law and Order probably does the same thing. It's been on for how many years? But yeah, it's okay, come on. You got to end it so that we can love what you did. Because you don't want to have those. Well, and then after season 8, it's crap. You don't want that. So I'm really excited for the final season. So yeah, Game of Thrones definitely had to be on there. Archer is a hilarious, amazing show. It definitely has that comic book-like feel with its animation. If anyone has never heard of the series Archer, I am going to forget the voice actor, and that makes me very sad. So I have to look him up because it's he literally makes the show. But yeah, Archer is about this spy. It never really gives you what era it's in, but I'm pretty sure it's the 70s, 80s spy series, a cartoon / comic book look. And it's just literally about this a son of the spy, the head director of the spy agency, just being an amazing spy who just is an alcoholic, crazy, sex-driven fiend who is just hilarious. It has a great cast. I'm going to read them now. It has Aisha Taylor as Lana Kane, who's the, like, beautiful, like really tall, like almost Amazonian black woman who has a lot of hilarious things that go about with her. H. John Benjamin, who's been in almost everything, Bob's Burgers, Family Guy a lot. He's the voice of Sterling Archer. We have Amber Nash. We have Judy Greer. Adam Reed. There's just so many great. Chris Parnell, who used to be on Saturday Night Live, but Archer is hilarious. It is pretty sequential in seasons, and then this past 3 seasons, they've been kind of like jumping around to make like, what if Archer was in an island type of getaway? What if it was back in the 30s? Like stuff like that, and it's super enjoyable. You really get to see the characters grow into their own, and it's all about being a spy with awful scenarios thrown in the mix, and they always suck. So like, they're the most professional spies you won't want to hire, because somehow they always ruin everything. And I think that's kind of the best part about this series is like, you're like, okay, oh no, oh, that's unfortunate. And it's just an animated series, and they can get away with a lot more than most series can. So I got Game of Thrones, Archer. I'm going to finish off with the last 2 TV series. I love Planet Earth, which I do watch on Netflix. Archer I watch on Hulu. Planet Earth, and I would put Slash the Hunt because they're kind of made by their docu-series Animal, and, you know, real life, sometimes I think it's by the BBC, but they're amazing docu-series narrated by David Attenborough, who is the, like, king of nature docu-series narration. He's this older British gentleman who, when he's gone, I don't know how I'm going to watch a nature show ever again, because he's amazing. His voice is just that calming presence that you want out of a nature show. But Planet Earth is like the best nature show ever. The camera work and the time that they gave to this is just, you wouldn't believe. It takes like 7 to 8 years to create a series for this, just because they go all across the globe, every continent, try to hit every amazing thing that you didn't know the Earth had to offer. And I think that's something that people really should get more into, is like learning about the planet, learning about what's going on, and then supporting people who do take 7 years or 5 months to sit in Antarctica and film penguins. Like they show like the making of Planet Earth after it, and that is almost more enjoyable than like watching the series, because you watch them and it's so heartbreaking. They're like, we've spent 5 months out here, and it was the first time we saw this dang Arctic fox, and it ran away from us. They're like, we are just trying to get an Arctic fox right now, and they're not here. So it's just a great series. The Hunt is, I just piggybacked that one on there because it is beautiful. So if you guys have time and enjoy, you know, nature shows, I would definitely hit up Netflix for that. And my final and last TV series I also give to Hulu, because that's where I watch it, is the amazing Rick and Morty. It is hilarious. It is animation that I thought I would not watch because it's not great looking. But Rick and Morty is a smart, dumb show that is hilarious. And it's just about this egotistical scientist and his grandchildren going on limitless adventures, because he is basically the smartest man in the universe. So whatever happens is just like, oh, of course, we're doing this today. Yeah, we're going to go to planets and beyond and, you know, go milk a bear or something. And you're like, okay, this is what they're doing today because Rick says so. And just kind of like Archer, their adventures never end well. it's just quite depressing for them. But it's one of those shows that is a weird, wacky animation, and unlike Archer, it has these undertones that make you really care for the characters and really kind of get invested in them. And you'll see them go through these journeys of trying to learn and wonder why they are the way they are, and you kind of have to go with it. And it's a really smart show. I know it seems like something that would not be smart if you watched little clips, but it'll get you thinking, and you won't get it if you're not smart enough to get it. And I think that's what their whole theme is like, yeah, you'll enjoy it if you're not smart enough because it's just hilarious. But if you're smart enough, it kind of gets you. And it's true. If you watch the creators, you're like, did they just say that on TV? You're like, oh my gosh, they went there. Like, Pickle Rick is something I think everybody can, like, connect with. Like, oh, we know who Pickle Rick is if you've never heard of Rick and Morty. And I think the reason why everybody loves Pickle Rick is that episode about therapy is amazing. And Susan Sarandon is a voice on that. Everybody probably knows her, and she kills it. So, yeah, I definitely would say Rick and Morty, Planet Earth / The Hunt, Archer, and Game of Thrones for TV series that are still popping, still going on, are some of my favorites.
That is pretty awesome. I will say this, guys, I actually have 2 more TV series, but I'm actually going to be closing off with those 2 because those are probably my top number 1 and number 2 favorites for this entire list. But I will say this, that you definitely hit a lot of really good shows. And when you're talking Planet Earth and you talk about, the penguins, it's just one of those things where I'm like, wait, is this the one that featured Benedict Cumberbatch? And I'm literally looking like, no. During his deal, and I'm like, oh, nope, he wasn't in this one. Okay.
Because David Attenborough.
All right.
All the way.
I thought I honestly heard you say something other than penguins. Like you said, like, penguin. And I'm just thinking to myself, great, we're going into the Benedict Cumberbatch deal again, but it's still one of my favorite things. Just them going back, hearing him.
That would have probably made me not watch the series. And I know that sounds awful, but the narrator is everything in there. And that's why people pay David Attenborough so much, because he's amazing and he's the voice you want to hear. He's the voice everybody's waiting for. The old British man who's obviously talking very nice. And you're like, there he is. That's the voice of the nature show. So I could see why they would hire Benjamin. But then when he would say penguins or some weird, if he said it so weird, that would be a turn off, and it would literally be like, all right, I don't know if I can watch this, if this is how you're going to explain this, because that's wrong.
Yeah.
Who did not tell him that he was saying that wrong?
It's one of those things where it's just amazing that we can go back and think, this is a guy who knows how to conjure up magic. He knows how to portray the dragon, Smaug from the Hobbit series. Does all these great things, but when it comes to the word penguin, it's his kryptonite. It's just the one thing that just holds him back just a little bit. But Benedict Cumberbatch, love you. Shout out to you, dude. And please, for the love of God, I kind of want to see him coming back for Avengers Endgame. We'll see what happens. Let's get into the next set, series that I have on my list. So I'm going to take a little break from the TV deals before going into the final 2 and go into Netflix, because I feel like they haven't really given them any love. And I think that's probably naturally what you're going to be going with next on yours. So first one that came up for me was 13 Reasons Why. Why? Because it's emotionally investing. It's just one of those things where it shows that one person can indeed make a difference when it comes to a life-altering situation. It's just so very well done in the most brutal way. And it's just one of those series that I've literally only watched one time for seasons 1 and 2. And it's enough. It's one of those things where you see one movie and you're just like, I'm just going to see it this one time because it was just great the first time. I don't need to do like a verbatim, like word for word on it. It's just good as is. So that is just one of those things I will tell you guys, that it delivers a very powerful message, but it also is one of those series that is not for the faint of heart. Definitely if you're looking for something to kind of really hit you right where it counts, definitely 13 Reasons Why is indeed one of those series you definitely would want to see. Another one I have on my list that was actually recommended to me by not even one of my wrestling friends. It was actually recommended by our good friend Mr. Photo Joe himself, was the series Glow, The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. This was one of those series that I was not exactly too thrilled about. I was thinking, this looks kind of weird. But Joe was just messaging me. He said, like, dude, have you seen Glow? Have you seen Glow? I'm like, no, I've never really even... I don't even know what to even think about it. He's like, dude, you have to see it. You have to see it. You have to let me know. We got to talk about it. I'm like, all right. And as soon as I watched the first season, I'm just like, I'm hooked. I get it. It's a bunch of these ladies that not only want to look great, but they also want to create a difference on television. They're putting on a wrestling show. It's based on a real-life deal. It's just so very well done. For those of you that love professional wrestling, you'll definitely get a kick out of this, and you'll definitely be entertained by this. Trust me, probably more than what you'll see on a Raw or SmackDown in the last few weeks. Just saying. Just saying. I mean, like, if you want to talk NXT, then there might be a little bit of competition there. Another one on here, Series of Unfortunate Events. It's an easy 3-season deal. It's covering the 6 books of Lemony Snicket's, and it's just very well done. And it's one of those situations where you actually see Neil Patrick Harris actually not just a bit of a comedic villain, but he can actually be a very seriously intimidating villain. In all honesty, a lot of people might think I'm crazy for saying that, but you kind of look at how he kind of, creates this character and how he can just be this despicable human being. It's just so very well done. One of his greatest works, and honestly, it's probably going to be one of those things where when he, I don't know, has he won an Oscar yet? Do we know if... Okay.
I don't think he's won an Oscar. He's definitely been in the Tonys, though.
Okay, well, when he gets to that Oscar point, this is going to be the first step to that point of him getting an Oscar. I'm calling it right now, ladies and gentlemen. And the final thing for Netflix is one that we've definitely talked about on the show quite a bit, but it's still very awesome. Looking forward to season 3. That is, of course, Stranger Things. Much like that 70s show, it's just so very well timed. They keep up with all the pop culture references, everything that goes on in the time zones. It's just so very well done. But they add a little bit of science fiction to it as well. It's absolutely really cool. They add some thriller to it. It's just very well done. It's just absolutely wonderful. It's one of those things where it's like, oh my god, I never thought I would actually love a series more than I love this. But there were 2 that actually beat this. Otherwise, this would probably be super high up. It's definitely in my top 5 of Stranger Things. But a couple did actually beat it. But Stranger Things, absolutely wonderful. Looking forward to seeing it coming out on July 4th. It's going to be awesome. Somehow I see myself binge watching it the first day that it comes out. That's just how much investment I have in this series. So Netflix, you definitely provided a winner with this one.
Oh, heck yes. And that could just lead right into my Netflix list real quick. I definitely have Stranger Things as number 1 on my Netflix list. It's just one of those series that you weren't really ready for. It just came out and you're like, okay, what is this? And let's be real, when something stars 5 kids the age of like 12, is that really going to resonate with everyone? Probably not. But they did it. They gave us a reason to care not only about these kids, but about the people around them. And they've had 2 great seasons, and we're just super stoked to get into season 3. And I know I'm going to rewatch. I'm going to binge watch both of the seasons and be ready to hit season 3 strong and full force into that Stranger Things season 3. So definitely that's my number 1 on Netflix. Just going in semi-order, I wanted to give a shout out to all the Marvel shows. I didn't want to talk about all of them, just because there's been a roller coaster of ups and downs, but I do think it's worth mentioning that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Punisher are all... Oh, and the Defenders. Sorry, almost forgot the time they all came together.
Right.
But all our shows that are definitely has a great following definitely caught my attention. I watched them, and it was worth watching. So it's going to be sad that they're either leaving or they're being canceled. You know, they're all kind of being canceled probably because Disney is reverting back and Netflix kind of owns them. So it's going to not matter, but still a good adventure as when it lasted, you know. And then I've got the Umbrella Academy. I definitely wanted to throw that in there because I did really enjoy it. I'm excited for season 2, hopefully coming out next year. We've already talked about this quite a bit, so I don't think I have to. It's another kind of superhero-y type of show of saving the world and can we stop the apocalypse? And it's a team of people joining together with powers, so of course I like it. I think I'm going to just go into another team of kind of cool hero type of people. Sense8. Sense8 was an amazing show Netflix took over. I think it has 3 seasons, either 3 or 2, but I know Netflix took over the last season to do like a last final episode because it did get canceled and people were like, what is going on? We need it done. We need to know what happened. And so Netflix was kind enough to give us that hour and a half like ending. But it's about, 8 people who are conjoined by their minds, and they all have not superpowers, but special techniques that humans can have, like martial arts, solving riddles, police work, detective work, and stuff like that. Good technology, a tech person, and they all share a hive mind, kind of, and can jump into each other's situations and really help each other out. And they're, versus the government. It's a great series. It definitely is a Netflix series that has some, sex, blood, drama, but it's one of those that I really enjoyed. And then I guess I'm going to do, finally, one of the best series I think that Netflix has started, that Netflix brought back, I'm going to say is Queer Eye. The guys from Queer Eye are amazing. They are really good at connecting the audience with the people, and Queer Eye, I think, used to be more about, like, let's make this unfashionable dude fashionable, but now it's like, let's pick a heroine or hero, and let's make them a better person through fashion, lifestyle, culture, all of this. And it's a really emotional show that you get to see why these people were picked. And usually it's because they're actually great human beings that are struggling because of finance or because they were taking care of everybody else instead of themselves, or they just really don't know how to be a part of the culture because they live out in the woods or something. And it's these guys go around and just make the lives better of people who truly deserve it. And I think they're amazing people. It's a great series. If you've never watched the Queer Eye series and you want something to just turn on and feel happy about, definitely check out Queer Eye, the Netflix series. It's different than the original one, and it's so much better.
So bottom line, what we're saying is that Netflix definitely has a lot of variety when it comes to the casual viewer, or just somebody that's looking to binge watch anything.
Yeah, honestly, Netflix is, I think, is still number 1 on the streaming list. I don't see any other, I can see why you would choose Hulu over it if you wanted to watch TV now, because that is why I have Hulu too. I have Prime because I have Amazon Prime. I couldn't live without Amazon Prime. But yeah, Netflix has the best shows, I think, out there.
No, I definitely do agree with that. All right, so I got my final 2 here. I guess you could say my number 2 here would be a show that came out actually a few years ago, but it has definitely caused not only a bit of a ruckus, but also quite a bit of some laughs, and that being Last Man Standing. Now, of course, people remember Tim Allen from so many great shows like, of course, Home Improvement. He was also in, some Disney films such as Toy Story. He was also in that trio of Santa Claus movies. I think that at least 2 of them were good, and the third one was just hit and miss to be fair. But then again, Martin Short was also in it, so it kind of redeemed itself. Anyway, Last Man Standing is definitely a series that is so very, very popular that they were too popular for, I think it was CBS, if I'm not mistaken. It was either CBS or ABC. Basically, what ended up happening was that they got too political, and they were trying to basically tone down some of the things that were going on with Last Man Standing, and Tim Allen just would not have it. So basically, they were saying, well, there's no more Last Man Standing then. Unfortunately for them, Fox was right on the heels of saying, you know what, if you guys don't want to take them, we'll take them off your hands. Here's some money. Enjoy that. And literally one of the first episodes that they did on the Fox network is that they kind of reference that. And it's just so very well done. The references that they do can be very subtle, or they can just be absolutely blatant. And there's no pure example of that than some of the earlier episodes where they had people coming in from Home Improvement. Like, Tim will just have this deal where he'll just say, "You look familiar. Do we know each other?" And of course, whether it was Jill, whether it was one of his kids, it was just kind of one of those things where it's just like, you do kind of look familiar to me. They make it so painfully obvious that it's just like, we know you're on Home Improvement, we know. But the first episode that they had on Fox was just so well done, because they basically talk about how, well, this channel seems like it's the only one that has this show, and there's even a point where Tim character Mike basically says, maybe the channel is a bunch of idiots that don't know what they're doing, and he basically says, like, well, try a different channel, maybe it's on there. And they make a joke about, oh, well, it's a lot clearer here. It looks a lot better here. It's just one of those things where they take such a huge shot at their former network, and it's so very well done in the more unprofessionally humorous kind of way. I think that's the best way of putting it. It's just one of those things where it's just so very well done that I don't think I've seen shots taken that fully since the first episode of Anger Management with Charlie Sheen, where he basically is just looking at a camera, he's punching and just saying this deal like, oh, you think you can fire me? Well, I quit. I'm not losing. I'm just, okay, well, let's see, that's how you do it. And he just talks to his therapy group. It's just like, okay, this was going to be coming. We all knew that was going to happen. Yeah, it's just so crazy how that works. But Last Man Standing is another one that does bring out the humor, but brings out the realism in the world, and brings up a lot of great political humor, because so many times we get so wrapped up in how much the government sucks and how everything just sucks. You watch an episode of Last Man Standing, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot, the government can be funny. They can be stupid, but they can also be funny at the same time. Thank you, Tim Allen, for this. It's just so very well done. And of course, guys, my number one definitely was one of those things that I am going to be surprised if nobody kind of got the hint that I basically... Well, actually, I think I gave the hint during the commercial break, so it probably was one of those things that should have been blatantly obvious. Number one for me, and the series that definitely inspired this, was Psych. Basically, you have a guy pretending to be a psychic, you have his buddy, they're basically going on adventures to solve crimes. It's just so very well done. It's, again, one of those things where they bring up the serious matter, but they also bring up a lot of humorous deals. You see Sean and Gus, they're basically trying to find ways to just solve their cases. They're also giving themselves like crazy aliases. It's just so absolutely fantastically done. And for me, personally, as a fan, I was excited when they announced that there was going to be a Psych movie that came out last year. Got the chance to watch it, and I was like, yes, this is good. This is great. People loved it. They were totally on board with it. And then I come across an article earlier last week that was showing, well, the cast is going to be going again. And literally one of the titles on a YouTube video was just, was Sean Spencer, James Roday basically being, wished a happy birthday during the set of Psych the movie 2. I'm like, wait, what? I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, no, there's no way this is true. This is one of those things where it's just like, this is like a part 2 for the original movie. And then I look at some articles, I'm seeing, they're going to be making a second movie, and it's coming out this year. are you kidding me? I'm basically going to get a second Psych movie? I'm on board with this. I'm happy. USA Network, thank you so much. You may have given me some really bad Raws, but you're giving me Psych movie too. I'm okay with this. This is one of those moments where it's like, all is forgiven, thank you. So I'm excited to see that. It's going to be awesome. Like I said, for me, this was the thing that kind of generated this idea of this series of list. So it's just going to be an absolutely fun movie to watch when I get the chance to see it. Psych is definitely one of those series that does not feel old. It does not feel like... They always try to incorporate something different into each episode, and it's really cool to see that. Just absolutely fun. And I will say, one of the best comedic duos of all time are indeed James Roday and Dule Hill. Shout out to you guys. Great job in what you're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have coming out for Psych the Movie 2.
Wow. I've never seen Psych. I know of it, but I've never, sat down and was like, okay, I'm going to watch this now. Is it on Netflix or anything? Or?
I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken. It should be on Netflix. I don't know if all the seasons are on there. I'm sure they had to do that deal. The only thing that sucks about Netflix is that they always have to be like, okay, we want to bring in this new stuff, but we have to get rid of this stuff that you might be, familiar with and stuff like that. That's the only downside. But it eventually comes back after maybe a year or something like that. But it's whatever. It's minor. But yeah, to my knowledge, I think that the majority of the season should be on Netflix. And of course, they incorporate so many great people in there. There's one episode where literally they have like an American Idol deal where they have instead of a Simon Cowell, they had a Tim Curry playing a Simon Cowell, which is absolutely fantastic. John Cena gets involved in one of the episodes. They incorporate a bunch of other wrestlers. They incorporate a bunch of other celebrities. It's just so much fun. It's just one of those series that definitely is, again, my all-time favorite. Hard for me to choose against this one compared to so many other things. And the theme song is just absolutely wonderful. It gets you hyped up. They change it so many times during the seasons. It's just wonderful.
Cool. I'll definitely have to check that out. Are we done? I was gonna do a shout out to my throwbacks.
No, by all means, do your shout outs to the throwbacks.
So I just wanted to do a quick 3 shout outs of shows that just kind of are always going to be there for me. And it's The Office, Parks and Rec, and True Blood. I know True Blood's kind of a random one out of there, but True Blood was one of the first ever series that really introduced me to what HBO has to offer, which, we have Game of Thrones, we have True Detective, we have a ton of stuff from HBO now that people are just, hooked on. So True Blood had to be in there. It was awesome. I think that people should at least watch the first 5 seasons and then be like, okay, it's done. Okay, we're done. That was one of those where we were like, okay, it went too far. But The Office and Parks and Rec, I think, is one that comes up on everybody's, they're all their Netflix streaming. They're like, yeah, we have Parks and Rec, yeah, we have The Office on there. And those are two series that I have probably completed over 7 times, and it was worth it. Every time it makes me feel all the feels at the end, and they really conclude it as well as they possibly can. And you just really, it's just simple TV that you can watch consistently. So that's kind of why, if you're in a bad mood or you're about to go to sleep and you're like, oh, I don't want to watch something I have to watch and be committed to because I might pass out. That's when you turn on The Office or Parks and Rec and you just laugh and go to sleep.
This is very true. And honestly, who would have thought that Jim from The Office would turn out to be just, this kind of secondary but kind of lovable character on that show to turning into an Academy Award-winning director for A Quiet Place. It's just one of those things where it's like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing seeing how people who have that comedic mind go into a serious mode and they can create such wonderful creations. Like we said before, John was one of the examples. Jordan Peele for Get Out as well as Us. Just everything that they do is just absolutely crazy. But definitely heard a lot of great things about Parks and Rec. I haven't really gotten a chance to watch it myself. I unfortunately have indeed indulged a bit in the True Blood deal, but that was only because that was what was going on with my ex at the time. She was a big fan of the True Blood deal. She had me watching it. I'm just kind of like, oh, this is weird. This is weird. This is weird. This doesn't really interest me. I feel like that same person that would watch the first Twilight movie and just be like, this is a thing. Great. We're going to get more movies out of this, aren't we? Yeah.
This is the vampires now, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I would hope that True Blood brought you different feels than the Twilight vampires. They weren't.
Yeah, no. I'll give you that.
They were more dungeon, sex, kill, fuck, die.
Dungeon, sex, kill.
Yeah, it was very. You're like, whoa. What is going on? Like, is this allowed on TV?
Well, apparently on HBO it is.
Oh yeah, anything. This is HBO or not TV. Literally, there are no rules. HBO has no rules.
I like to think that that is their tagline. And it's like, HBO, we're not like regular TV. We're not pansies.
Right. Just HBO.
Shout out to HBO.
You'll see it all.
HBO, you will see everything.
Yep, and you're like, wait, what? And then you're like, oh, now I know what you meant.
I understand now. HBO, you're welcome. Just...
Yeah, you're like, I wasn't ready.
Oh my gosh. And also HBO, if you ever want us to be a sponsor for you guys, we would love to do that. Just as long as you give us something out of it. If we can get maybe a week's worth of just free shows, that'd be awesome. We're not even asking for a full month's worth. A week's worth would be awesome. I know it's asking for a lot, but if we're talking this highly about you, HBO, you know that we're fans. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. So, yeah, I think now that should wrap up this edition for the Game Changer. Definitely, you guys, check out Victory Bell on all of her great handles as far as Instagram, her Facebook page. Give her a like. Give her some comments. Be nice about it, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, I will find you. Definitely give us a like on our Facebook fan page, as well as give me a follow on Twitter. Give us a subscribe on the YouTube page. And, guys, we'll talk to you in the next episode. It's going to be the hype of Avengers Endgame, but also on that episode, we're going to be talking about a certain someone, or should I say a certain rodent, who has definitely been less than nice to us, to say the least. Let's just say that this rodent has pushed our buttons quite a few times. So, for Victory Bell, I've been NateFNGreat. Talk to you in the next episode. Bye-bye.